This is the first time in my life, and probably a lot of other people's lives, this big of a fire in their city. And I just have so many questions, like along with learning a lot of things that I never knew about during a fire. But for starters, for any of you guys looking for like any tips of dealing with this, if you're new to the city, me personally, like I was just sick and tired of all the smoke over the years. Like clearly this is not the first time, but this is the worst one. So I highly recommend you get some type of an air purifier at home. It honestly really helps out. And I don't know, for me, it's like ever since COVID, I always had masks at home. So I feel like that helps out if you absolutely need to be outside. I'm seeing videos of people just like parking their cars, like just leaving their cars behind, actually just running away. And I'm glad that I'm seeing this because I guess that's normal. That's the way to react, because I wouldn't know what to do if I was just driving and you see fire everywhere. But yeah, basically a lot of people just left their cars like on the highway by the mountains, and then they had this bulldozer go through so then the firefighters could actually go through it. And because it just really happened out of nowhere, I feel like everybody just really needs to, especially if you live in California, but really anywhere you live, you got to think about things that you would just take if something like this were to happen. I personally would like definitely take my passport, like just identification for sure. And I would take the stuff that like you absolutely cannot replace, like some type of a family heirloom, or like for me, I would take like a USB drive full of like memories and photos. And although I've lived through like so many times, like there's been forest fires, I never truly understood the magnitude of it and how like wind really affected it. But after watching like a billion videos, now I think I finally understand. Like I didn't even know what those little sparks were, but I guess when you see those little like flames, like they're called ambers, and when those ambers get basically flown and tossed away like, I don't know, 80 miles per hour, depending on how fast the wind is, those little amber flames, like they're basically, it's like throwing a flame ball to some other place. And that's how we're getting all these multiple other fires. Like Pacific Palisades right now is still the largest one, but the Eaton fire near Pasadena, like it's just a mess. I learned that apparently if you have a bunch of animals, I think some people have like 12 horses, and you have to pick like, I think about 4 to go. I don't think you're allowed to take all of them. There's just some rule with that, or maybe you just, it's not possible for you to just take them all, so you just have to let them loose. And I'm seeing online that apparently if you're like fleeing your home, they say it's better to just leave the gates open and the doors open, so that in case animals, you know, are passing through, they have places to go. One thing I do find really sad is that like, yes, okay, very wealthy people, most of them already have like fire insurance, all these different types of insurances, but I think there's definitely like a lack in empathy here and sympathy. Like, yes, a lot of celebrity homes got burned down. Yes, Pacific Palisades, we all know, is a very wealthy area, and same with Pasadena. And yes, for the folks who have insurance, they're better off, but there's got to be some folks out there that's just, you know, regardless if you have insurance or not, first off, when you have your house burned down, it is very devastating and traumatic and sad that, first off, you have to see that. Like, just seeing it through the videos is already crazy enough to me. Like, it literally looks like a nightmare. So for someone to like live through that, I can't even imagine. Like, I can't even imagine if that were happening to me last night. But anyways, it's just really crazy to me that some people are just like, oh, well, they have insurance. But it's like, insurance isn't going to cover the fact that your house, where your memories are, and all those items, which I'm sure a lot of people weren't able to take with them, those might be just gone forever. Maybe a painting from your great grandmother, poof, just gone like that forever. Your childhood memories, your children's memories, or your great grandparents' memories, all within the same family, the same home, and it's just gone just like that. And even if you just moved in like 6 months ago, you could still have a lot of memories that are just forever gone, and a lot of cherished items. And I know it's like, okay, everybody should just be more minimalistic, and so it's easier to leave. That is something that I do think about. I'm like, okay, seeing all of this, it just, first off, it's teaching me like, no matter how much money I have, I prefer not to have to deal with this. So I probably prefer not to live anywhere near like mountains, or even the beach, because a lot of times there's mudslides and stuff. But that's a personal choice. Of course, you know, after this happens, and I'm sure it's going to take a long time to restructure and for those houses to be built back. God, it's just, it seems like such a painful time. But I'm sure a lot of people want to live back to where they were living at. So that's a whole other topic. But for me personally, I never really wanted to. And also it's just super expensive, so I don't ever think that it's something I could afford to live by a beach for like living in a house that's like $4 million anyways. But what I can relate to, and what, you know, this got me thinking about is, man, I do have a lot of items. Like, if my house was, you know, I have to evacuate, then it's gonna really suck just leaving behind all these things. Not that I have emotional attachments to a lot of these things, but I just feel like a lot of these things would just be wasted. And it does really make me question like my existence and just stuff. And really, I think all of this is another reminder, like, how fragile human lives are and everything that we have in this planet. Like, first off, we don't know what caused this. Okay, we do not know. I hope we do find out one day, and I really hope it's not caused by a human intentionally. But unfortunately, this is something that apparently has happened in the past. There are people who will just set things on fire and they enjoy it, which is absolutely terrible. But yeah, financially, it's also just crazy. This is going to be crazy for California. I don't see how this wouldn't be crazy, because I learned that apparently even in, I think, like 2021 or previous fires, apparently more than 45 years, people who lived in California and have been alive for more than 45 years state that this is the worst. Like, this Pacific Palisades, like, it's just the worst. Okay, January 8th, 2025, the worst fire. But I'm hearing that apparently the cost to contain it, first off, like, when I last checked in the afternoon of January 9th today, it says 0% containment, because it is really hard. And I'm hearing stuff like more than 32,000 people evacuated. People lost their entire homes, all their belongings, and they're like now staying I heard there's like beds out in like parking lots. Like, there's just nowhere for a lot of people to stay. It literally looks like the videos of last night and today, the aftermath. It just looks like war or zombie apocalypse. Like, that's not even being dramatic. But anyways, I heard online that apparently in like 2021, because we get fires all the time in California, like this, even though this isn't new, but some of the bigger ones, it would cost like $60 million in the past. $60 million to contain it. And this is something we've never seen before. So, like, financially, this is a huge hit on California. And it's crazy to hear, like, again, like 32,000 people, I'm sure it's more than that now, evacuating. Because right now, I think a lot of Santa Monica is being asked to evacuate. It's just crazy to me that they're saying per minute, it's like 5 football fields, like when the wind's moving fast. That's how fast the fire is moving. 5 football fields per minute. That's actually, like, unfathomable. I just really hope, like, I don't know anybody who's had their house burned down and how the insurance works and all that. Again, even if they can get their house back, it's not going to be immediate. It's not like you could just poof out of thin air, just bring a house back. You know, this isn't like magic. So this is going to be crazy. Like, all these people who are out of their homes, they now have to either find hotels or figure out other ways to stay in California.
아, 니한테 동아리. combination.
Wait, or does the insurance pay you out $2 million? You could just go live in another place with that check that you got for insurance. Like, how does any of that work? Or maybe they don't actually pay you out the full amount. Either way, whether they pay the full amount or they don't pay the full amount, like, all the stuff inside your house, like, I doubt they're going to be able to replace you with your, I don't know, if you had 3 dogs and 2 diamond rings in there. Anyways, I'm just glad that the Santa Ana winds are a lot better, at least today, than it was yesterday. Thank you to the firefighters. I think it's unfortunate that I heard that the money for firefighters was cut, I think, recently. So there's less firefighters. I've seen videos where, like, I think the planes are getting the water, I think, from the ocean and then taking it out. And just, like, it's crazy to me. Can someone explain to me? I'm just thinking, like, you guys know SpaceX, right? So rocket ships, okay, going to space. Why can't we have that size of, like, a rocket ship, but just purely for, you know, saving situations like this? Because Pacific Palisades, like, that's just, like, literally by the beach. That's, like, by the waters. So it's kind of crazy to me you can't just, like, take out the water and just save everything. It's just, maybe that's naive of me to think. I don't know. But I feel like we should have that in place.